So today we're here to talk about the proposed CMS program integrity role and some of the key provisions of that. So before we jump into it, I have to read the legal disclaimer here because this is a very fluid situation and highly regulated. So the information provided in this webinar is for general information purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for either professional, legal, or financial advice. It is not meant as a professional legal opinion and should not be taken as a course of action without consulting with an attorney. Due to the potential changing regulations, the content and examples referenced in this material are subject to revision. So now that we got that out of the way, my name is Shelly Brown. I'm the Oscar Health Sales Lead for the East Coast. I lead our IFP and ICRA sales efforts. I'm actually standing in today for Jared Wassley, who is out on paternity leave, so his name may be a little bit more familiar to you. So happy to be here to present what we know as of today. So what we'll cover basically is just Oscar's education and training plan for agents. So that's most important. So as Mike has said, our role is to make sure that you're as informed as possible and know how to be proactive to get in front of the most impacted members in your block of business. We'll take an overview look at the ACA regulatory environment and then a deep dive into 5 particular key proposed CMS provisions and recommended actions. We'll show you how Oscar is working to make it a little bit easier for you to mitigate some of the issues that you may face with some of your members. So there are broker portal enhancements that we'll review. And again, as Micah said, what should you do now and what's coming next, which will include an educational series as well. So just to reiterate, please put your questions in the chat. There's some things I may not be able to answer today because they do have to go through our government affairs department to confirm and validate. So if we don't get to you today, we will make sure that we respond to your questions in a timely manner. So Oscar's education and training plan. So this is what we are doing to support our brokers. It's really important to make sure that we keep you informed and provide any actionable recommendations. So this is basically what we're trying to do to support you. So one is deep dive webinars. So this is the first of probably many to follow. There's going to be an email series. So if you haven't already received some of the emails already regarding some of these proposed changes, be on the lookout for those as well. We have created some one-pagers on available plan options to guide members. So if they do need to switch plans, we're trying to get that information out as early as possible. As I mentioned, broker portal enhancements so that you can proactively identify at-risk members who may be most impacted by the changes. And then we'll continue to do, whether it's in person or a dedicated webinar series throughout the summer and fall to make sure that you have a comfort level with what's coming. So here's a look at some of the upcoming events. It says upcoming, some of them have already passed, but towards the end of the month, we will really go full steam ahead with our regulatory email series. That will focus on a bunch of different topics, eligibility checks and FTR status in particular. There's another broker training webinar, but that's going to be basically exactly what I'm presenting to you today. We wanted to get in front of it with Messer and the agents, and so you guys are kind of getting like first dibs on our emails or our webinar series rather. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but we can get you a copy of this presentation as well, because there's a lot of embedded links here with some great documents that you'll probably want to refer back to. So we will make sure that we get that over to you. So as a refresher, we probably all heard that the enhanced tax credits are set to expire on December 31st of this year unless Congress acts. So that's kind of where we are. If you need a refresher, we did do a webinar back in April that you can click the link and you'll be able to reference that as well. But basically, there's kind of like 2 ways that we can figure out where this thing is going to go. One is through a current budget reconciliation process, which you all may have heard of as well, or another must-pass bill. But there's continuing resolution that is going on. So there's a lot of different dates here. It can be a little confusing. I'll get into a more specific timeline in a moment. But basically, it says three possible vehicles. So current negotiations, but really through a budget reconciliation act or a must-pass bill, or where we're going to see final resolution. So what's new? So the program integrity rule is currently sitting with OMB. OMB is the Office of Management and Budget. It needs to be signed off on. It was proposed in March of this year, and it's currently sitting there. The holdup is, how is this thing going to pass? So Congress is debating the Budget Reconciliation Act as we speak, and the process is kind of twofold. So you could codify this CMS rule into law, and then ultimately the rules are then going through agencies for final, what do you call it? Going into fruition, going into effect. So that's where we lie right now. It's with the OMB right now, and we'll see how that kind of shakes out. But the purpose of all of this is the first major individual market rule from the Trump administration. And the guise of all of this is just savings. So how can we identify potential savings? So that's going to come through looking at preventing fraud, waste, and abuse, and reducing adverse selection, that sort of thing. So what does this mean for you as the broker? Number one, we want to make sure that your members who are eligible for ACA plans and APTC remain eligible. We want you to be able to properly communicate the changes to your members and minimize the potential impact to your block of business. So what do you do now? Well, you're in the right spot by just joining today and just getting the high-level overview of what some of this looks like. Hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'll understand some of the key provisions and recommended actions, and then just stay close to us. As we get updates, we will continue to revise all of our resources that we have for you to make sure that you are up to date. So here's the timeline that I talked about. So right now, the bill is in the Senate. So it's sitting in the Senate, and the Senate has the ability to do their markups and essentially vote on it. Some of the rumors are that maybe this will be figured out by July 4th, but again, we don't know for sure. If that is the case, the final votes take place and then it gets signed into law. So these things would become law by that time. The reason we kind of think July 4th is very realistic is because Congress is in recess from 8/2 to 9/1. So we're assuming they're going to want to wrap this up beforehand. But again, we don't know for sure. So as I mentioned, let's take a deep dive into the key proposed CMS provisions and recommended actions. There's about 5 of them that we've identified. So they're listed here, so I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then we'll take a deeper dive into each one of these as well. So you can see the key proposed provisions and the effective dates off to the right. So the first is changing income eligibility checks. So that triggers DMIs. So DMIs, you pretty much know probably, data matching issue. And so those are for folks that are at or below 150% FPL. The other proposed provision is to end the SEP for 150% FPL members. So that's the monthly SEP that they currently have today. That would be ending. The other one is shortening OEP from 11/1 to 12/15. I can tell you now, Oscar in our regulatory affairs team is advocating against this because we know that that's really difficult to cram all that into such a short period of time. And even though we did it before, pre-COVID days, we still all can benefit from a longer OEP, especially with all the changes, because you want to be able to have that time to educate your members. The other provision is reverting the failure to file and reconcile process to a year. Currently, it's 2 years, so the provision is to change it to a year. And then the probably most significant one is $0 members who auto-renew but fail to verify eligibility would now be subject to a $5 per month premium. Again, we'll take a look at all of these in a little bit more detail. That one in particular, I want to point out the timelines would go into effect for OE of 26, but for any SBE state, it would go into effect 1/1 of 27. So let's take a deeper dive. So the changes to the income eligibility checks, there's three major proposed changes. So the new data matching issue audits, I call it, they're basically looking for members who are attesting to an income above 100% FPL, but the trusted data sources show the income is actually below 100% FPL. The data sources are going to be the IRS, the Social Security Administration, that sort of thing. So that's what they're looking for. The exchanges may now require additional information when no tax return is available. So filing taxes is really important. We'll talk more about that in a moment as well. And that's really referring to the years of 2023 and 2024 taxes to be eligible for the APTCs for 2026. Again, more information to follow. And then the removal of the automatic 60-day extension for a DMI. So DMI was originally set for 90 days. You had to submit your documentation or verify eligibility with an automatic 60-day extension. That 60-day extension would go away, so it would revert to the 90 days. So let's take a look at some real life examples. I think this kind of helps to tie it all together. So here is the process flow of somebody with an income-driven DMI, triggering a DMI. So we have Sue. Sue submits a prospective 2026 income that's above 100% FPL. CMS checks their data resources, or sources rather, so the IRS, Social Security, what have you, to confirm her income. If her income was above 100, is confirmed to be above 100% FPL, it does not trigger a DMI. So everything is consistent. She's good to go. However, if the CMS data sources show that her 2024 income was less than 100% FPL, then it triggers a DMI. So if it triggers a DMI, what happens next? So she will receive a temporary eligibility notification, and she will be notified to provide supporting documentation of her income. She will have 90 days from receiving this notice to provide the documentation. So again, no 60-day extension. She will have 90 days from the date that she receives the original notification from CMS. You as the broker will also be notified of the DMI so that you can assist her. Now, the gray area is how much data you're going to get. You will get a notification, but it may vary by the EDE. Oscar is not going to get this information, so I just want to flag that. So one of the things that's really important is to make sure you have up-to-date contact information for your members to make sure that they are going to get these notifications and that you can appropriately contact them once you are notified as well. So getting together those income verification documents, first of all of these are going to be on healthcare.gov. You're probably already familiar with them, but we, in a convenient way, wanted to link some of the sites as well, so that you have everything you need at your fingertips. So CMS will provide very detailed and specific information to that member as far as what's needed. So I know this is really small as a screenshot, but it will be custom to their issue. So whatever is needed, it will be kind of like pre-filled out in this form, and then anything else that needs to be supplemented to complete the form will be appropriately listed in the request from CMS. If you need the CMS guide to confirming your income information, most of you are probably very familiar with that as well, but we have a link here. And then CMS will also list the potential documents to confirm your income. So whatever is going to be deemed acceptable by them, they will have a list of those associated documents as well. But again, you can either check healthcare.gov, you can check the Oscar site so that you have access to all of these as well. So our goal as an insurance organization is to make sure that we have best-in-class broker tools. So we are here to help prepare members to resolve any DMIs. So this is our recommendation to you as the broker. What can you do now? So you can start talking to your brokers, or your members rather, today to gather key documentation. So whether it's citizenship documentation, tax documentation, for income verification, make sure you start talking to them so that they can start to gather that now. Start early, we suggest, because of the shortened OEP, because you'll only have those 45 days. So during OEP, make sure you inform members of the 90-day window. So if they do get that notification from CMS, make sure that they know that they have 90 days to get that information in. So if they have it ready today, they get the notification, they'll be all set and be able to complete everything within that 90-day window. The resources, again, I am a broken record here, but we want to make sure that you get all your questions answered regarding resolving DMIs. So once again, here are the associated links for that. So the next provision is ending the SEP for 150% FPL members. So this provision is that members who are at or below 150% FPL would no longer be eligible for the monthly SEP. So they would not be eligible to change plans on a monthly basis. So what should you do about this proposal? So again, educate those FPL members, the 150% FPL members, that they may lose this enrollment option, and help them to actually enroll during OEP or via an eligible SEP. How are we helping you with this? One is providing awareness to the removal of this enrollment method, number one, so broadly going out to members as well as brokers, and advocate that brokers communicate this proposed change to their identified 150% FPL members. Another key provision is shortening the OEP to just that 45-day period. As I said, we are doing whatever we can from our government affairs and regulatory departments to advocate against this in support of our brokers to give you more time. Again, we don't know where this is going to land, but the key provision is to run from 11/1 to 12/15, so pre-COVID days. So members have a much shorter time to make plan decisions. Strategically, what we are doing is creating additional plan options, low-cost plan options, all sorts of different plan options, and trying to get that information out as soon as possible so that members have time to shop and you can assist them with making any changes. We're educating members of this proposal to ensure that they are all set and they can make sure that they get their shopping experience completed, any questions asked regarding new plans, etc., before coverage successfully begins on 1/1. We are continuing to communicate to the at or below 150% FPL members that they may no longer rely on SEP to gain coverage if they do not enroll during OEP. So a series of email blasts and notifications going out to let them know about that. But as much as we have done our advocacy and continue to do advocacy, we don't expect that there is going to be an extension of the OEP window. All preliminary indications show that this one will likely move forward at 45 days. So the more you can do now to better serve your members, the easier it's going to be for all of us. Okay, so the other provision is revert to failure to reconcile, to file and reconcile process to a year. So as I mentioned, before it was 2 years, so it's being reduced to a year. So if a member does not file their income taxes for the years of 2023 or 2024 but they received APTC in those years, they would be given an FTR status. So if a member does not resolve their FTR status by the end of OEP, they would lose the APTC for plan year 26 starting on 1/1. So that's why it's important, again, to make sure that if you know of any members that fall into this category, tell them to file, get that information together to be prepared for that. So there's the associated forms as well, the form 8962 for each year that they received APTC. So not only filing taxes, but filling out that form. Make sure that is done before the end of OEP. So how will Oscar help? Well, unfortunately, we don't know if a member has an FTR status. That's one area where we will not be notified. However, broadly, we'll communicate to members the importance of filing taxes to maintain the APTC for 1/1/26. Okay, so this is probably the most significant one that we get a lot of buzz about is this $5 premium for auto-renewed members. So again, the proposed effective dates are listed here. So if it's an FFM state, it would happen actually 1/1/26. If it's an SBE state, it would happen 1/1/27. So what this means is this applies to fully subsidized, passively renewed members. They could potentially have a monthly fee of $5. So members who are auto-renewing into a $0 plan who do not verify APTC eligibility would face a $5 monthly fee. So the thought process is to make sure that these are legitimate members in these plans that qualify for APTC, and that if they start to see a $5 charge, that'll be a trigger to say, okay, I've got to verify something. Again, this is all about savings here. So how does that impact you and your members? The fully subsidized members would need to reconfirm their subsidy eligibility, or they'll be hit with that $5 a month fee. Once CMS confirms full eligibility, then the full APTC would be reinstated going forward. And we're going to take a look at a real life example of this as well. But what should you do about this proposal? Well, number one, inform members with $0 plans about this proposal. That's the most important thing, I think, in this whole process, is to make sure you inform those members. Emphasize the need to actively update and confirm their eligibility during OEP, and then be prepared to assist them with updating, eligibility documentation, whether it's citizenship and immigration documents, what have you. Just make sure that they are aware of what needs to be done. How is Oscar helping? We are flagging your $0 members in the broker portal for you so that you can quickly go to a tab and be able to identify them and do an outreach. So this is also a great opportunity for you to start that process as soon as possible to make sure you have up-to-date contact information as well. So email address, phone numbers, correct addresses, all that kind of stuff will be really important. But let's look at an example to make sense of all of this. So we've got Mark. He lives in Florida. He pays $0 for his Bronze Elite plan. So fall comes around. He does not choose a new plan for 2026, but he also doesn't update his income or verify his subsidy eligibility on healthcare.gov. So now January rolls around. He's still eligible for the $0 plan. However, he's going to owe $5 for every month until he verifies his subsidy eligibility. So two possible things could take place. So for one, if Mark kind of waits and takes no action, he's going to have to pay the $5 each month. But let's just say he says, oh my gosh, a light bulb goes off. Let me go ahead and submit this documentation in March. Then in April, he's back to $0. So he was charged $5 for January, February, and March because he had not submitted his documents. But once he submits it in March, then in April, he reverts back to the full subsidy and the $5 goes away. So he's at $0. However, let's just say Mark decides to take no action whatsoever and he does not pay the $5 premium for 3 months. his coverage is actually terminated. Let's take a look at another example because, again, we get tons of questions on this. And again, Oscar is going to help you in your broker portal to identify those members as well. But we've got Maria. Let's say Maria is paying $20 for a gold plan. She doesn't choose a new plan in the fall for 2026, and she renews into a gold plan with a slight increase to $22. Maria, she doesn't update her income or verify subsidy eligibility on healthcare.gov. So what happens in that case? Well, the $5 premium does not apply because this is only for people who passively renew into a $0 plan. So this would not affect Maria at all. Her coverage will continue. So how can Oscar help you as the broker help Mark, who was our original example there, who got hit with a $5 charge? Well, for one, what we're doing is, like I said, in the broker portal, we're identifying Mark as an at-risk member. So you'll see a tab in your broker portal of the at-risk members. So then we would want you to reach out proactively to Mark to inform him that he could potentially get hit with a $5 fee. He may submit documentation on his own and he's on top of it and he's good to go. But you want to give him, just for checks and balances, the opportunity to make sure he gathers his documentation together in case he gets hit with a potential $5 fee. And then once you ensure he actively submits all of these documents by the end of OEP, he's all set. He's not charged $5 and you look like the hero. So that's our goal, is to provide these resources to help you help members such as Mark. So let's take a look at a little bit more regarding the broker portal enhancements that our IT team has been diligently working on to support our brokers. So for one, we are creating a knowledge center. So it's going to be a one-stop shop for all of the regulatory education and training, including things like the webinar recordings, FAQ documents, one-pagers. Hopefully you guys all received our essential guide to the program integrity rule. I think that was emailed out, but it's also posted on hioscar.com. And then we'll also have it in the Knowledge Center within your broker portal. So it's a great guide, very comprehensive. So you want to get familiar with that if you haven't seen it as well. We're also going to be launching a news feed as well. So it's going to be more of a what's coming next, highlighting upcoming educational opportunities for you and critical deadlines. As I mentioned, we'll have the at-risk member flag. So you'll actually see a tab in your broker portal with 2 opportunities there. So any member that is likely facing a very large premium increase, we're going to flag those. And then we're also going to flag the members who auto-renew into $0 plans who may potentially face that $5 premium charge. And then we'll have guided workflows as well. So we'll provide clear plan selection strategies to make sure that members who are experiencing higher renewals know what alternatives that are out there for them based on the projected premium increases and any member characteristics. And we'll be providing recommendations to ensure members can retain eligibility and APTC. So all these things are coming. You can see the timeline there on the right. The goal is pretty much late summer, but definitely prior to OEP. So be on the lookout for some of those enhancements because we want to help. It's a very, again, fluid situation with a lot of information out there, and we want to do whatever we can to assist you in the process. So as far as next steps and upcoming educational events, we also launched a very convenient broker checklist. You may have received it via email. Again, it's housed on hioscar.com as well as in your broker portal. There's 2 different checklists that you can utilize today for either existing members or new members. So if you have existing members, what you want to do is reach out to them prior to the beginning of OEP and just start these conversations early. Like, look, there's going to be a lot of changes. Pay attention, look out for notifications from CMS or wherever in order to get in front of any additional documentation that may be required because of the shortened enrollment period. Let them know of what the potential documentation could be so they can start to gather that information. I think I'm an organized person, but at tax time, I can't find any of the documentation that I need. So those are things that people can start to do today. So whether it's income verification, citizenship, or tax filings, they can get ahead of that today. Your new member initiative should look like, okay, if you have a prospective member, let's ahead of time gather a list of documents that may or may not be required as you go through the shopping experience so that you can ensure the smoothest possible enrollment experience. Inform them of the potential documentation and where to find it. So if they're not familiar with it, again, you'll have those links to be able to tell them where to look. But the key is starting the conversation early. Look at that checklist, complete that for existing and new members. Reach out to myself and or Jared upon his return, and of course your Messer team members as well, to assist you with any additional questions that may come up. Again, I'm sure there's going to be some nuanced situations that you'll uncover as we navigate through this. So make sure you reach out to us. If we don't have the answers right away, we will get them. Sign up for any future webinars. On the next slide, I'll show you a little bit more detail regarding that. Make sure, and I've said this a few times already, but make sure you update member contact information as best you can in the broker portal. So addresses, emails, phone numbers, that sort of thing. Pay attention to your email for upcoming content and breaking news, because again, things could change at any moment. So some of the things I said today may or may not be applicable in a week from now. So just make sure you pay attention to that. I know that we do send out a lot of marketing materials. We have a great marketing team, but there's some really relevant content that you want to pay attention to in the upcoming months. So I showed you this early on. I want to restate this as well on some of the initiatives that we're taking, so that the next one is a regulatory email series that will focus on navigating the eligibility checks and DMIs and the FTR status to look out for. And then we will have another broker training. So if you want to just reinforce anything that was presented today, you'll have that opportunity on June 26th, and the registration links will be live in the presentation that I send out to you. So with that, we ended a little bit early. So I am going to stop sharing my screen at this point and try to take a look at some of the questions that may have come up in the chat. Mike, I'm not sure if you can see any on your end. Right now, I don't see any that have come up.
Yes, yes, I do. And Shelley, I want to thank you for all the great information. Obviously, I know this is a concern for everybody, and I just want to say that, you know, we have to understand why this is all happening as well. They really are trying to clean up the ACA, because folks, whether you like the ACA, don't like the ACA, whatever it is here to stay. There's so many people that are impacted by the marketplace that, you know, they're just basically having to now try to make it work no matter how they can. So the first step is definitely trying to clean it up. And you know, a lot of agents ask me what their roles are going to be, and are they going to continue to have a place in the marketplace. Well, let me just say, over 80% of every single person that's enrolled into the marketplace, every policy, over 80% of them has an agent. So you're talking about something that a client could literally go into healthcare.gov, quote themselves, see what's available, sign themselves up, no problem. But still, over 80% of them find that there is a value to bringing in an agent into this to be able to advise them. And with all of these changes and everything that's going on, agents' roles in this is even more important now than ever. They are going to need that support system to navigate them through kind of all these changes that are coming. So it is very important for us to do our due diligence so these folks can maintain their health insurance, avoid paying any penalties, make sure that they get all their DMIs situated, et cetera. You know, we've complained for the past few years about agents stealing their books of business, the commissions going down, whatever the case may be. The reality is we need to start getting people that qualify for true SEPs enrolled. Before, they weren't even auditing it, right? Like, okay, yeah, I came off of a health plan, and they're not even going to ask me for proof of that. Just go ahead and sign them up, and everything is fine. And people that weren't really verifying their income, so they weren't even receiving the subsidies that they should have been receiving the whole time. And the retention, they're trying to increase that as well. These are all things that are going to help not only the marketplace with cleaning this up, but also help everyone. And what I mean by that is, what we can't forget is that we're all in this together. The FMOs, the carriers, the agents, the clients, we are all in this together. And the only way that we're going to be able to maintain a job and keep receiving the commissions that we do is if the carriers are profitable. By taking business and just flipping it from carrier to carrier to carrier, and the retention being so poor and all this bad business that's being written, the carriers aren't making any money. And if that's the case, then why do they even want the business? And if they don't want the business anymore, then guess what? They're not going to pay us. And if they're not going to pay us, then we're all out of a job. So basically what I'm saying is, if we do the right things and we enroll the people in the right plans and we keep them on the books, and all this cleaning it happens, then the carriers are going to be more profitable, which means that they're going to want more of the business. They're going to get competitive again. I mean, in 2019 and 2020, carriers were extremely competitive with each other. It was like they were fighting over and over the business, and that meant higher commissions, bonuses, and everything for us. So, do yourselves a favor. Don't shoot ourselves in the foot by writing bad business, because all it's going to do is just end the profitability for all of us. So, just kind of wanted to preface that, because that's something that we can control, right? We can do the due diligence in making this happen. And I promise you, our retention is going to go up. And guess what happens when your retention goes up? That means the value of your book goes up. So if you ever wanted to sell it in the future, or whatever the case may be, you can do that at a higher price than where it is now. So just keep that in mind when you're going into this and starting to do whatever it is that you're doing for this open enrollment period. And I promise you, there's still absolutely going to be the need for agents, and there's still opportunity there. So I want to jump into just some of these questions real quick. Again, we can't answer all of these, but we will do our best. Someone asked, they sell in Georgia. Obviously, Georgia is a state exchange. Will these issues apply to Georgia access as well?
So short answer is yes, if they move forward, but the timelines will vary. So like I mentioned, if it's an FFM state, a lot of the changes will take place 1/1 of 26. But in the SPE states, the timeline's 1/1 of 27. It depends on which provision you're looking at. But yes, so in short, it would impact them, but it is a different timeline.
Someone asked, they missed the beginning, will there be recording available? Yes, we will post this on our website at messerfinancial.com. Also, if you ever need any additional trainings, as Shelly said, there's a lot that's coming up, so you can always watch that, and I'm sure they'll reiterate a lot of the same stuff that was covered today. Plus, I will be doing additional webinars about this as we know more, to keep you guys posted. Let's see. One person said, people that are signing up for ACA that are near or are income eligible for Medicare, do we have to let them get declined for Medicaid first?
That I would have to get back to you on. I need to run that through government affairs.
Okay. I guess this one was referring to the one if they don't, let's see. So that means that they would need to pay back if late in the year. So I guess they're asking, do they have to pay back the subsidies if they're late or they didn't file the previous year?
If they didn't file the previous year, again, we can't give the financial advice on there. What we can tell you is that if they don't qualify, they're terminated. So if you don't submit the documentation and those tax filings for 2023 and 2024, then you're not eligible for 2026. As far as any penalties and things, I would refer you to your tax person.
If the advanced tax credits is not renewed, will a DMI still be triggered to reconcile?
Say the first part of that again, sorry.
If the advanced tax credits are not renewed, will a DMI still be triggered to reconcile? I would imagine so. I mean, yeah, the DMIs are still going to be there.
Yeah, I would think so. Yes, they would.
Okay, let's see. How will the zero premium members be notified about reconfirming the income?
They will receive notifications from healthcare.gov. Like I said, we will flag them as at-risk members in the broker portal as well. So you can be proactive and say, hey, did you get a notification from CMS or healthcare.gov? So we are going to assist you in notifying them, but they should be getting that information, the initial notification from CMS, which is why having up-to-date addresses, phone numbers, contact information is critical.
Will we be able to assign change PCPs through the Oscar portal this year?
That's a good question. I am not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that as well.
Okay. Who administers the $5 surcharge? Example, will member receive a bill from Oscar or from healthcare.gov?
That's a good question as well. More to come.
I would assume that'd
Sorry.
be done by the healthcare.gov, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But again, I don't want to put misinformation out there. So let me verify that for you.
Yep. Let's see. Is Oscar going to expand into South Carolina for 2026? Looks like there's a demand for you guys in South Carolina.
Well, I love to hear that. Not for 2026. We do have expansion plans. We'll save that for a future webinar, but we are launching some new plan options and expansion opportunities in the Southeast. I'll give you that much. That would be whether it's an existing metro area, just expanding. Like, for example, I'm in Georgia, and so we're strong in Metro Atlanta. We're in Macon and Augusta that we launched into this year. So there has been discussion about other areas of Georgia we could expand into, but also new states. So more to come on that, but it's exciting stuff. So
will random members be selected to provide DMI, or will all members be required to provide this information moving forward?
It is supposed to be anybody who there was a discrepancy between what they are reporting versus the data sources. And so if the IRS, Social Security Administration, or any of the other governmental entities show anything different, that's what's going to trigger it.
How will this affect those who were recently incarcerated and did not file taxes for those years?
I believe it still applies. It will apply to anybody who did not file taxes. I don't know that there are any caveats based on why, but it will be required.
Okay. Are there any options to enroll for high income earners, like getting some subsidy?
We'll get back to you on that one. Because there's the talk about the what do you call it? The cliff, the 400% FPL cliff and all that. So more to come there. It's a little bit of a gray area right now that we're still trying to get interpreted for us.
Let's see. Will we have regular SEP for income change? That would still be an SEP, an income change, right?
Yeah, a significant income change would trigger an SEP.
And that's the question too. What is considered significant?
There is a percentage change. I don't have it in front of me. I have a bunch of resources here, but I don't have the number in front of me. But it's something we can look up and get back to you on.
Let's see. Does Messer only market Oscar plans? Well, we love Oscar and we will market the heck out of them, but we are also independent, so we market all ACA carriers across the country. What kind of documents are useful to verify the loss of coverage in a SEP submission?
There is a list. So there's multiple documents. So those are in the links that I referenced. And again, if you received, you can get it today on your broker portal or on highoscar.com. It should be under broker training materials. It's called the Essential Guide to the Proposed CMS Program Integrity Rule. Oh, it's blurred out, but that's what you want to look for, because it's going to be, I'm the type of person I need to touch it, see it, feel it kind of thing. So a webinar works for me, but then I also want tangible materials to refer back to. So that's what the guide is intended to do. So all the things I discussed today will be listed in that guide.
Perfect. Let's see. When is the next webinar for MyMFG Marketplace? I can answer that one. For those of you that don't know what MyMFG is, we do have our own quote and enrollment platform. It does ancillaries, ACA, and Medicare. We are going to be doing some trainings coming up. I'd have to refer you over to our calendar on our website at messerfinancial.com for all the upcoming webinars. Also, you can call and talk to any one of the marketers, and we'd even be happy to set up a demo for you if you ever want to see it. Is there any word on when or is Oscar will return to Hell Sherpa? We don't talk about Hell Sherpa here. Let's see. Looks like it's it for the questions. So thank you, everybody. I want to thank Shelly for taking the time and Oscar's partnership and being so proactive. We're so happy to have the relationship with you, and we're looking forward to continue building on that. Shelly, is there anything you want to say in parting?
Just thank you for the opportunity as well. We really value the partnership with Messer, and we see the difference in them being so proactive with their agents and trying to make sure that you guys are all well informed. So that's a big deal for us. Those are the types of partners that we want to have. So we appreciate the opportunity, and we'll keep you updated.
And actually, one more thing, Shelly. Do you guys do any trainings in Spanish? We will be doing trainings in Spanish, absolutely, but I believe Oscar does as well.
Yes, we will. And again, those are embedded in the links in the presentation. So when you receive that, you'll be able to see the dates. And I believe there will be a recording of the Spanish webinar as well posted on the website.
Awesome. Well, again, folks, I want to thank everybody for taking the time and joining us today. We will be doing our webinars again next week. As always, you can contact us anytime. If you haven't introduced yourself or have a relationship with one of our marketers, I highly advise you to do that. Also, if there's any other training that you guys want on a topic, a carrier, a product, whatever it is, let us know, because everything we do is to help you grow. So again, thank you, everybody, and I hope everyone has a great week. Goodbye.
Thank you.